I look at a lot of entrepreneurs that are starting, or I follow a lot of people on social media, and they're working towards this unattainable level of efficiency and productivity. And I think to really unlock your creativity and some of your potential, you gotta just be.
How's it going, guys, and welcome to another episode of Secrets of Silent Success. Today we have the one and only Jeff and Marissa of Cookie Society. How you all doing this morning?
Doing good. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. So we'll jump right into it, right? How did Cookie Society come about?
Man, it got started in my kitchen in Houston. 2 small kids at my feet, and I was just playing around with cookie recipes just for fun. And I was sending my experiments to the locker room with my husband. He was playing with the Houston Texans at the time, and they were getting really good feedback. And so I'm like, man, I'm gonna keep working at it. It actually started a bakery in New York, but I wanted to recreate that cookie, and then I started creating my own kind of flavors with my favorite desserts. But I'm like, can I make it into a cookie? And Jeff was the one who said, go for it. He's like, we can make a business out of this. And I hadn't even entertained the thought. I was food blogging and it was starting to take off. And he's like, no, like this really is something. And so we started plugging away at it, moved to Dallas, and the rest is history.
Sure. You said he was the one that's like, hey, I think we can make a business out of this. What made you think, hey, we can go this business route with this?
Well, she talked about it in 2017. We went to New York, and there was this bakery, a famous bakery called Levain Bakery, and we stood in line for 40 minutes. And I was like, why am I standing in line for baked good for 40 minutes? And then we get to the front, and it was primarily cookies. And they had like one other pastry, and I was like, this is crazy, just cookies and one pastry, and people are lining up for this. And when I tasted it, it was one of the best things I ever had in my life. And I was like, okay, now I get the hype. I see why people are waiting for this. Yeah. And I turned to her, knowing she's competitive. She was a college athlete like me, and said, you can't do anything like this, jokingly. But I knew she would go and try to recreate something like that. Yeah. And she did it.
Got you. Awesome. You talk about that competitive fervor, if you will. How are you all applying your competitive fervor here in business? Because I think personally, Mark Cuban says business is the ultimate sport, right? So how are you applying that competitive fervor here in business?
Man, I think the competition at first is, oh man, can I just get into the market? I think that's your first level of competition. But then it really became a competition with ourselves. Yeah. So can we top the next flavor? Can we beat last month's numbers? Can we go more efficiently? Sure. I think that became the competition. And I really wanted to highlight that piece because I think there's this misconception of competition with others. And sure, we have competitors out there, right? We did our market research, but at this point, I'm competing with myself. Sure. And it's working for us, so.
Yeah, and for me, I guess the sport aspect is just the team that we've created. I mean, we've delegated as we've grown. It was just me and her, but as we've grown, we've added to our team, and we couldn't be more thankful for who we added, and it's allowed us to grow. And making sure we support them and have great leadership skills, and making sure everyone feels just as important no matter what your role is, and that's what we're doing.
Gotcha. I know you started off by sharing a recipe with your teammates, right? I would consider that low-hanging fruit. You go to your immediate network and product test, beta test it pretty much. What's the importance of kind of starting with people in your network, that low-hanging fruit, if you will?
I would say for me, it was really important because no one knows food like big guys. Like honestly, like that's how I felt. Like, I mean, you don't get this big by accident. You obviously have a love for food, a passion for it. And who better to test on than guys like us? So I went in the locker room, and we kind of got that affirmation from them, and they verified it. I've been telling her. I mean, it's the best cookie I ever had. But once we start hearing it from, my teammates, and then we start giving it to strangers, that's when we're really like, okay, we're on to something.
Gotcha. And I know you talked about being competitive, but not really worried about the competition per se, but being, competitive against yourself, being better than yourself yesterday. What makes Cookie Society unique and distinctive?
I think the competition is consistency. And so for us, it's that you're gonna get the exact same cookie every single time. And since the day we opened, we knew how important consistency was because we just had to work so hard to get customers. Yeah. Because we opened in the middle of the pandemic, doors weren't open, we were doing car service, like car hops. Yeah. And we're like, I gotta make this so good that you wanna come back for this exact same cookie. But if you come back and I walk up to your car and it doesn't taste like last time, you're not gonna come back. And so we really isolated that as our number one area that we had to focus on, and that's still something that we really pay a lot of attention to day in, day out.
Sure. I can imagine being a professional athlete, they talk a lot about consistency, doing every rep the same. What are some elements and some of your characteristics that you may take from your professional athlete career and applying it here at Cookie Society?
It's repetitive. The things that you do is repetitive. Business is repetitive. And what we do every day is the same, but it's finding a way to make it new every single day. Finding that spark, that energy coming in, staying motivated, staying into it. You have to. Because you definitely have to. So for me, for both of us, playing sports definitely gave us that sneak peek into business life. It's a direct parallel. It's one of those things where you have to persevere. Yeah. It's going to be hard. There's going to be days where you don't want to get up. Sure. It's for everybody. Everybody has those days, but you have to know the ultimate goal. You have to know the mission. And as long as you stay true to that, you got an opportunity to be great.
Yeah. Well, let's stay right there comparing the athletes to the entrepreneurship. There was a recent interview. Somebody asked you, hey, what's harder, being an athlete or being an entrepreneur? Yeah. I believe you said entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely.
Why was that?
I said entrepreneur because I said that sports is a team sport. You obviously have to come together collectively. But for me, professional sports, even college sports, you have to focus on your job. Mm-hmm. You do your job and you know the person next to you is going to do theirs. Being a business owner, you have to create the entire team, train them, and then they start doing that. Yeah. And
sometimes you do their jobs.
and sometimes you do their jobs. So I was on the opposite end of it. I obviously had to be a good teammate, but while I was playing professional sports, I knew if I did what I was supposed to be doing, it was going to help the team. Yeah. And it was just from that scope. Now I'm looking at it from a different lens.
Yeah. Can you talk to me a little bit about the culture and the team that you're building here? That's part one of the question. And then part two, you talked about, you got to get up every day and be consistent. Obviously, that's hard, right? Yeah. Whether you're a wife, husband, parents, right? I guess sometimes life beats up on you a little bit. So how are you getting up every day and being consistent?
Man, so when you talk about the team that we've created, I think that is one of the things that I pride the most as far as our success as a business is the team that we've created. We have some incredible leaders. We have incredible people under them. And so the leaders really set the tone, and they come in with good spirits, and they really start the day off well. And I'm just really proud of that, because when I talk to people, I'll run into people, they compliment our service, they compliment our consistency. If they did have an issue, they compliment how it was handled. And so that's probably my favorite part. And the way that happened was because I was here. Jeff and I were here. I worked here every single day. I was the first one here. I was the last one here. I still am. I was here 3 hours ago working. And I think it's when you see someone doing that, and I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I won't do. And so I think it's really helped with the culture. I think we have something really unique here. We've had people that have been here for a really long time. And I think if you do right by people, they'll do right by you. We still maintain that, so.
So you're talking about getting up every day and being consistent, right? What are you telling yourself to continue to persevere and continue to go?
We got a lot of people depending on us. It's not just about us. The whole premise of our company is society. It's coming together, building a team. And we have a lot of people that we employ, a lot of team members that, have families and have things, they have responsibilities, they have things they have to pay for. Yeah. So we have to make sure we're staying consistent, make sure that we're innovating, make sure that we're growing at a sustainable pace so this company can thrive, so we can continue to add to our team and continue to be, employers.
Gotcha. You mentioned society. Where did the name Cookie Society originate from?
Man, it really was that communal aspect, and cookies can bring people together. A lot of people take our cookies to others to celebrate moments, to use as kind of moments of appreciation, inspiration, all of those things. And those are things that you need for a well-running society. But really, we were just looking and we're like, what's a name that's not out there?
You gotta be unique.
We looked it up,
Really,
and we were shocked
unique.
that it hadn't been taken. And it really felt like a sign, hey, the road is clear, go for it. And so, really proud of the society.
I guess I have a side note for that. So we want to be unique, but also direct. Sure. And I would always say, if the premise of your business is in your name, it better be damn good. Yeah.
There you go.
It better be good. It gotta be good. So Cookie Society, we're only doing cookies. Yep. This is what we do. It's in the name. Mm-hmm. You come here, get a cookie. Yep. You see that with burger joints. You see that with donut shops, all that type of stuff. I feel like if it's in the name, it better be good. So.
Yeah. Be straightforward with it.
Be straightforward.
Awesome. So prior to Cookie Society, you were a food blogger. You talked about that. Can you tell me the importance of creating the content, building that credibility? I know a lot of times when people start creating content, they'll get discouraged right away because your first video gets 3 views. Yeah. But how do you continue to persevere, and what's the importance of making that content?
For me, it was really finding my people. And so when I was food blogging, I was 20-something mom, staying at home, trying to make easy dinners, nutritious dinners for my husband, a lot of food for my husband. I hosted occasionally, and through consistency, I found my people. I would hop on live, Instagram Live, before it is what it is now, and I would have like 7 people on, but I kept going and I scheduled those lives, and I really started to, my captions had to be to my audience, like, what are my needs? What are my areas of need? How can I help you? And I think with business, and they always say it, it's like, what's your mission statement? Who are you helping? How are you helping? And I remember when somebody asked me, who am I helping with cookies? And I just thought that was so silly. I was like, I mean, they're cookies.
Yeah,
but
everybody.
We are. Like,
Yeah.
I'm helping you maybe say something that you can't verbalize. I'm helping you spread love, or just like, hey, I'm thinking of you. And that's huge. And especially during the pandemic, we saw just how important that was. And I think that that's the number one key when it comes to creating content, is keeping your why in mind and who you're talking to. Because you can't cast a wide net and get everybody. You gotta find your people.
I hear a lot about talking about why. You talked about, hey, how do I continue to persevere? It's because these people are depending on me. That's my why. You talk about finding my people, creating this content, even if I only have 7 viewers, because that's my why, right? No, so that's awesome. You talked about, you're a mom, an NFL wife, if you will. Talk about that transition from, being a mom, NFL wife, still those things, but transitioning to Cookie Society as well.
To be quite honest, I really struggled with that transition. Going from a collegiate athlete, I have a degree in business, and I was like, I'm gonna go run stuff. And then, we made the decision. We got engaged while I was still in college. He was a rookie. It was his rookie year, and I put my family first in that moment. I was like, I'm gonna move to Kansas City. I turned down a job offer in Dallas, and it was the best decision I ever made. But it was really hard for me to kind of find my area, because I was so used to being good at things and to working towards something. But as a mother, as a wife, there's not always something to work towards, right? There's not like an end goal in motherhood. There's not an end goal to being a wife. And so I felt like I was floundering a little bit. And that's why I started my food blog. That's why I started with photography. And it really was like, I'm gonna lean into things that I enjoy. What an opportunity, what a blessing that he's gonna work and I get to do something that I like and really find it. And through those experiments, I was a photographer for a few months. Yeah. I did some portraits. I love food blogging, still love to be in the kitchen, loved recipe development. And then it naturally transitioned into the cookies. And so I think I found a way to commit to something that didn't have an end goal. And then I eventually found my end goal. I was just doing photography because I liked it. And I never really had that opportunity just to do something because I just straight up liked it. I loved soccer, but it still was, hey, we have goals. We're trying to get to here. We're working for this. And it was nice to kind of explore. And I think that gave me the opportunity to dive into cookies and then really turn it into a business. So.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. It sounded like you were doing photography or doing the blogging for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, and that matters.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. And I think I look at a lot of entrepreneurs that are starting, or I follow a lot of people on social media, and they're working towards this unattainable level of efficiency and productivity. And I think to really unlock your creativity and some of your potential, you gotta just be. And I don't mean necessarily like rest, but you have to have a hobby. You have to do something outside of what you do. I think that's really, really important. I learned that from you, from when you were playing football. And I remember those first couple years were just about football, and that was really hard. And then he started having interests in other things. He started learning about broadcasting, and he started learning about entrepreneurship and financial literacy, and leaned into that. And I just feel like it made a lot more things kind of open up. And then obviously becoming parents, our kids are number one. They are everything. And that is our other piece, our other focus, our other why. Yeah, and because we know that we have that, and we have other passions and family, we're able to really focus on this when we're working on it, so.
Yeah. Any advice to, I think you labeled the mompreneurs out there who are looking for that passion, who are looking for something to be excited about?
Yeah, I've been there. It's hard. It's not gonna work if you force it. I know you probably don't want to hear that, whoever moms are listening, but you really have to lean into what brings you joy and then kind of go from there. And maybe it isn't making cookies. Maybe you become a recipe developer because that makes more sense for your life. Or maybe you see a blaring need in your life and you're like, I wonder if other people have this. Start to feel around, and if they do, you'd be surprised kind of what comes to you. So I guess that would be my advice. And there is no shame in being a mom either.
Yeah.
So.
Love that, love that. So we talked about her transition. You made a transition as well.
Where we go?
You made a transition. Your turn now. You made a transition as well. Transition from professional athlete, and now you're here supporting your wife's endeavors, your family endeavors with Cookie Society. What was your transition like?
My transition, for me, I always had her in mind. I knew the sacrifice she was making, and I think that's very important in marriage, knowing it's a partnership, knowing that you're in this together. So she was playing her role at the time to make sure that we could get to where we need to. You know, we have goals and everything. So I knew when my time came to retire, I'd return the same energy.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, before this podcast, I told you I'm getting the kids to school.
Yeah.
I'm doing that every morning now. I'm feeding them, I'm getting them dressed, I'm doing hair. I'm doing all these things that I've never done before. So that's the biggest transition for me right there. Like, I've always been in my children's lives, but I've never done hair before. Yeah. I've never had to do that before. I wasn't the one getting them to school every morning. I wasn't, you know, with tutoring, doing homework. Now I'm doing those things now, which I love. Yeah. But it's a learning process. Also, just figuring out how to be a leader from a business perspective. It's a lot different than a locker room. It's a different temperament, and you just you handle people differently in that light.
Got you. So you talked about, you know, being parents, obviously husband and wife. You also have Cookie Society. How do you manage, right? So 2 points. How do you manage? And then also, how is it working with your spouse? A lot of times people say, don't work with family, don't work with friends. Yeah. I actually tell people to go work with family, work with friends. I spend more time with my friends and family because we are doing an endeavor together, right? But talk to me about that.
No, it's definitely a family affair. My sister works for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, my mom helps here and there, and it's great because we bring our kids to work. I want them to see this. We want them to see what it's like being an entrepreneur, and I think them seeing our dynamic as partners in business, it's cool because mommy and daddy have to figure things out. We have to figure out how to go home and take that hat off and be mommy and daddy and not, you know, business partners, and then flip those roles when we are working, have those tough conversations. They have to be had. And at the end of the day, if you have a foundation and you know what the ultimate mission of the company is, nothing's personal. Yeah. I mean, we both disagree sometimes, but when you collaborate, that's when you get the best ideas.
And I think our athletic background helps with that too, about knowing, hey, we're trying to get to the same place. We both want to win. We both want to succeed. And so keeping that in mind when we disagree about things, has really, really helped. We also work with friends, work with family. I share a desk with my sister-in-law, we work with friends, and it was hard. There's still challenging moments, but we've become a lot better communicators because of it, which I think is huge. And as far as the kids, they're so proud. And our niece and nephew also live in the area, and they are too. And I get a call from our niece, and she's like, I told them to subscribe to get cookies. And it was just so cute because they're all just kind of rooting for us. And we're going to be the first entrepreneurs they see, and I'm so glad that they get to see our version of entrepreneurship and what they're going to do with it. I'm really excited to see. So.
Yeah, and I just add to it, I think a lot of people get scared away by family and friends working for you, but I think the most important thing is creating those boundaries and those lines and make sure they don't blur. Because as much as you love family, business is business and family is family, and as long as y'all understand that, and there shouldn't be any issues. And at the end of the day, no one has your back like family.
So to take it back to Cookie Society, you all started as an e-commerce online business. I know you have a business degree background. Just tell me a little bit about why you all went that route and like what's some advice to others who may want to sell baked goods or just good in general online.
Yeah, it felt very natural transition for me because I had a moderate sized following online and they trusted my recipes. And so I'm getting feedback like, oh my goodness, this turned out great. I made it myself. And so that trust was there. So they trusted that, hey, that cookie that she's gonna put in the mail is probably good. A lot of learning curves around shipping. But I mean, the market, the number of people that you can reach online is infinite. Sure. I'm not gonna run out of customers to sell to. And we were not one of the first, but we were with a bunch of others e-com bakeries.
Yeah, we're at the beginning.
We were at the beginning though, and I think it was such a novel concept, right? So you're sending flowers, you might be sending like an edible arrangement. You might be sending like Harry and David, one of those baskets, like a fruit basket. But wow, you can send these really unique cookies. And oh, the menu at the time was changing weekly. And so I think we really played up that novelty. I tapped into my network that I already had. And we actually didn't tap into Jeff's network that much, ever. We really wanted it to stand on its own. And so he would mention it occasionally. And towards the end of his career, he mentioned it because he was actually working. He would have like a bye week and then come back home and do a pop-up with me. Yeah. He was at the kitchen whenever he could be after training and stuff. And so at that part, our lives had really integrated, and we were running a business. Yeah. But before, when we first started, that's kind of how we did it. But I say, start small, find a way for people to prepay. That was huge for cash flow. Sure. So you would order all week, and then I would come in on Monday to the commercial kitchen that I leased by the hour, and I would do all the orders, and then I would ship them out. And at that point, I had the money to buy ingredients, and I was able to do the prep work, and then I would go and do the shipping. We kept our shipping costs low at the time by using USPS. You can negotiate those rates. I don't think a lot of people know that those rates are negotiable. You got to find somebody and call them. And I would say that's how we got started. But it really was just a just do it moment, because if I was still playing around with it, like, oh no, I don't like how this page looks, you just got to put something out there. We just had a landing page for a while, like a landing page, and you put in your credit card information, and that was it. And we used Stripe as our processor?
Yeah, we manually did everything. We would count every individual flavor. Yeah. I mean,
printing labels on a regular printer.
Take the time. Don't skip the steps. It's a process. Yeah. You have to prove the concept, and that was our line. That was the lines we went along. We were making sure that it was viable and it would work, and so far it's been well.
Self-sustaining.
Yeah, that was all fire. That was like granular tips, like actionable items, even the USPS negotiating rates. People don't know that, so I appreciate you sharing that. So we've been talking about transitions. So you went from e-commerce online bakery to having an actual storefront. I know that was a big transition. You're talking about doing that in the middle of the pandemic as well. How did that come about?
That wasn't an initial plan. Honestly, obviously the pandemic wasn't the plan, but like going into retail wasn't our plan. We kind of thought we were going to go all in on the e-commerce and kind of scale that way and go the more warehouse route and get like a production facility and just ship online and do catering, corporate type stuff. But we just had this feeling. We drove past our first storefront in Frisco, right off the toll, and saw this as an opportunity. It was like, hey, if people come in the door, that'd be awesome. But at least we have a kitchen, so we can start fulfilling more online orders and doing catering, corporate, and all that. That was the idea behind it. And lo and behold, it kind of took off. We had a lot of opportunities, a lot of interest from people. People started spreading the word for us organically, and that's been the route ever since.
Yeah, you're talking about it catching fire. You talk about being on Oprah's favorite things list. You went from, I think you said, selling 100 boxes a week to 100 boxes a day. You got former teammates tweeting about the cookies. I'm sure that foot traffic started to come. So tell me about being spotlighted, and then also how did you all keep up with fulfillment? Because I'm sure that was crazy.
Yeah. So everything, when I'm thinking about work, I'm thinking about processes and efficiency. That is what I focus on all day. So it's how can we make more cookies in the same amount of time with less people? That's the question I'm always trying to answer. And not less people in the I'm gonna run you into the ground. Less people like, is there some technology we can invest in? What kind of prep can we do ahead of time? How far in advance can we prep certain things? Is there machinery we need to consider investing in? And the pandemic, I think it really made us better business owners because there wasn't a workforce out there to hire from. Yeah. So one, we had to maintain what we had, which our approach might be a little unique, but we have a lot of full-time workers. Majority of our staff is full-time, and we take good care of them because they're doing good work for us. We wouldn't be here without them, and we fully recognize that. So when you talk about handling that foot traffic, that is all them. That is all them. We put a framework in place as far as I'm gonna have enough people in the building for you, and I'm gonna make sure we have enough cookies in the fridge. But as far as just keeping up with the people, that's all them. And that was just sheer determination some days because it just doesn't stop. Yeah. But and so that's when we reached our kind of production max at our store. We needed to find more ways to make more cookies. We weren't in a place to serve more customers. like face to face, but we did need more product. And so we started looking for a production facility, and all of that growth has been really natural. So yes, getting on Oprah's Favorite Things was unnatural, but the growth that we saw then and the process that we came up with was all just like, okay, all right, so you're going through how many chocolate chip? Great, we need to find a way to make more of those. And so we found an off-site location. So we have a staff over there making chocolate chip cookies all the time. And it was just things like that. We've always been really good about investing when we need to. We didn't throw a bunch of money in things and just hope they work. It's always been well thought out, well researched, and it came at a time when we needed it. So
Yeah, she hit a good point there. I think one of the most important things with being a small business owner and an early entrepreneur is being very intentional with what you invest in, what you're going to spend money on, because you might look online and see social media and look at your competitors and try to do what they do. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that you can do, because you skip steps. You can't go from A to Z. You got to go through the alphabet.
Yeah.
So we really took our time. We made sure that we were intentional in what we were doing, did a ton of market research, figured a lot of things out on accident. But we also, talked to a lot of people. We also read a lot. We also did a lot of different things before, we got to where we are, and it's still a long way for us to go. Take your time.
Yeah. So you all talked a lot about that business aspect of how you were dealing with the demand, but how did it feel to be highlighted on Oprah's Favorite Thing list, to see your teammates tweeting about it? How did that feel personally?
It was amazing, honestly, because it was one of those things where I was able to take a step back and kind of see from her perspective, because while I was playing, she was so proud. And for me, I loved doing what I was doing, but it was just, I was doing my job.
Sure.
So any accolade that I got, it is what it is. I never celebrated about it. But when she started getting accolades and people started talking about something that she created, I kind of lit up. I started to be happy. I'm like, oh man, this is amazing. Now I see how she feels, and it's indescribable, really. It's one of those things where you want to continue to push her, push one another to take this thing as far as possible, just to continue to provide, that spark, that energy to this world that she's been providing.
Yeah. No, it was incredible. I couldn't believe it. I think I'm still in shock. I'll be going through the house and see the magazine. I was like, oh my goodness. That's crazy. Yeah. So.
Got you. So I know you all have a new storefront coming. Talk to me a little bit about that. What your fans of Cookie Society be looking forward to?
Oh man. So Jeff is our project manager. Okay. I'm running day to day between the production facility and our Frisco location right now. He's been going through a lot of challenges. I'm so grateful for him, because it is just not easy to try to secure even just raw materials to build a store. And so he's been dealing with that and pivoting and talking to the architects and kind of keeping up with everything. But it's gonna be a larger service area. We expect to see a lot of people over there. We're excited to introduce our cookies to a whole new part of town. It's going to be exciting. Same energy, same good playlist, same great cookies. It's
going to be very exciting. It's going to be in Addison, 20 minutes south of where we are right now, right off of Beltline and Village on the Parkway. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Addison, but it's a very vibrant strip. We're right across from a Whole Foods, next to a Snooze. A lot of foot traffic, a lot of things to do over there. So there are going to be people coming over there doing things outside of Cookie Society. So we're excited to provide another element to that strip. And I think it's going to be a good opportunity for us.
Yeah, totally. Now on the show note, is that over there by the Pluckers and the movie theater and all that? Oh man, that's
So
I'm
excited.
over there I'm going to the movies over there Friday. So I'll be looking forward to get some cookies.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's awesome. So you talked about your kids, even your nieces and nephews, being able to see you all as the first entrepreneurs in their life. And you talked about it being a family operation here. What's the importance of a Black-owned business for you all?
Oh my goodness. It's everything. And I think it's awesome because, like we said, we have small kids. Our oldest is 6, and we're reading books. And I remember now there's a ton of Black titles that feature little Black kids that look like them. And just the way that they light up when we bring those books, it's kind of similar when we talk about us owning a business. And then we're up, if we go to other business panels or other things, and we're sometimes the only Black business owners in the room. And I just think representation matters. I think it's very important to see not only Black people, like Black women running businesses and kind of thriving and holding their own and doing things differently. And I really want our kids to see that you can do it differently. There's not just one way to run a business. And so that's my
Yeah,
favorite
I
part.
agree. Representation matters. It's one of those things is if you can see it, you can believe it. I remember growing up where I grew up, there wasn't very much opportunity. So the things that I saw that were positive, the ways to make it was either like sports, music, but there was never an entrepreneur aspect to it. There was never any ownership involved with it, anything, never knew what equity was, any of these things growing up. So I think if we can continue to do that and show kids, not only our kids, but all these kids, all these young black kids in America, like you can do things outside of music, outside of sports. You can be anything you want to be. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can do anything, and showing different representations of black excellence.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So this is called The Secrets of Silent Success. So tell me, what is Cookie Society's secret to success?
Oh man, aside from good cookies, I think it's the people. I think it's the people because I'm coming up with some crazy stuff sometimes. And I ask, hey, so I'm gonna have you stuff strawberry jam in this here cookie by hand. Yes, we need to do about 4,000 this week. And for them just to, okay, yeah. And I just think that's invaluable. Just to have people that believe in you, that believe in the mission, people that are down for the cause. Yeah. I think that's our secret to success. And like we said in the beginning, you gotta be good to people. And I think some businesses that maybe didn't value their employees are struggling. Big businesses, you know, they're struggling right now. And I think it's really important to reevaluate kind of your team and like the aspect and what are you bringing to the table? What are you asking them to bring to the table? Is it reasonable? And then kind of keeping that in mind at all times.
Yeah, I agree. From the team aspect and also from the customer aspect is the people matter. Mm-hmm. And it's about them at the end of the day. I think we make the best cookie, but there's a lot of good competitors, yeah. A lot of good cookies out here. So our focus is one, making a great product, but also equally having great customer service and making sure we show the appreciation and we take the extra step no matter how big we go. Like we want to make sure that it's organic and we keep that same quality.
And great customer service attracts great customers. I don't think anyone really talks about that, but our customers are awesome too. Like we have some people that they've been here since day one. We have people that know some of our employees by name, and I think because we give them good service, we give them something to come back for, it's returned to us. So
I love that. Great customer service equals great customers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, we'll leave it there. That's all I got.
Yeah.
I appreciate you all. Thank you this morning.
You.
Awesome.